from New York on this story is Rowaida Abdelaziz. She's a reporter at the Huffington Post. She's focusing on Islamophobia and the Muslim community. Rowaida, thank you for joining us. First, what's your reaction, if I can ask you, to this ruling?
The reaction to this ruling, to me as a journalist, honestly, was quite shocking. And I think many of the folks in the Muslim community have told me that as well, that they themselves are shocked. They're disappointed. They're feeling a mixture of emotions. It's quite a difficult time. They're still processing, and I don't think many of them expected for the Supreme Court to uphold the travel ban, granted what has happened in the lower courts over the past few months.
The Trump administration's position has been that there are dozens of Muslim-majority countries that aren't on this list. Therefore, they say it's not really a Muslim ban. Do you buy that?
Well, folks in the Muslim communities certainly don't. And as a reporter has been covering these communities for quite some time, I can tell you for a fact that they don't buy that. And there are a number of reasons as to why they don't buy that. We have to look at the overall context. When looking at President Donald Trump, when he was a candidate and running, saying, quotes, that he was looking for a complete and total shutdown of Muslims entering a country. In another instance, in saying that Islam hates us. And that, coupled with the rising Islamophobia that's happening in this country, over 67% of hate crimes have risen in the U.S., the Muslim community certainly doesn't believe that their race and their ethnicity certainly doesn't really play a role when it comes to the travel ban.
We've been seeing a lot of the protests since that travel ban was introduced. There was quite a vocal movement against the ban. Where does that movement turn now? Where does it go?
Well, folks in the Muslim community and local human rights organizations and activists are not standing down. Many of them have continued to say that they will fight and appeal this ban. Lawyers and legal representations are making their way to the airport, as we saw with the first ban, when there was chaos at the airports, with folks attempting to enter the country and just mass confusion, to be quite honest. And so organizations like the ACLU, organizations like CARE, the Council of American Islamic Relations, don't take this decision lightly and say that they have a lot more work in front of them and are prepared to put up a fight.
As we heard from our reporter earlier, Jim Spellman, he was saying that the impact won't be immediately felt because the court allowed the policy to already be implemented while it was awaiting its decision. But still, how do you think this ruling, a 5-4 ruling, will be viewed overseas, and specifically by Muslims overseas?
Muslims overseas have been extremely wary of this administration since the very beginning. Unfortunately, both Muslims in this countries and overseas don't have the best relationship with this administration. In addition to stereotyping and making generalizing comments about the Muslim community in Islam, people are weary. They're afraid and they're quite concerned, especially when we look at countries like Syria and Yemen, where the U.S. has an active hand in its foreign policy in, quite honestly, creating the refugee crisis happening in both those countries. And for them to seek stability and safety and to try to enter the U.S. to find a new life and to start over, to only be denied, is causing quite a rift overseas. And both here, families who are of Syrian and Yemeni descent, who have family members that they were trying to bring, and for them to be safe and stable for once in a very long time. So I can't say that the attitude is positive.
Rowaida Abdelaziz, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us on this topic, of course, that we've been following very closely. U.S. President Donald Trump still